All right. Hi, everyone. I'm on with Justin Gwilt, who is currently living in Lisbon. And he's got a crew, and his garage force operations is located in Richmond, Virginia. So he is one of our truly semi-absentee owners, probably defines that best. So, Justin, thanks for your time to join us today.
Yeah, not a problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So to kick things off, do you want to just tell me a little bit about your background before getting into Garage Force?
Sure. I was a scientist before I started in Garage Force. I worked in the pharmacology industry for a little bit, then worked on some policy analysis and operations, and then switched over into project management. And I spent about 5 years in IT project management, kind of directing teams, leading teams, and building processes out. And then during the pandemic, I decided I wanted to do something that gave myself a little bit more flexibility. And so I looked into buying a franchise. And so, I was just drawn to Garage Force from the beginning.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it. All of our owners come from very different backgrounds, and obviously, you were more white collar, so that's what we're seeing a lot of owners that don't have any sort of technical hands-on background before getting into something like this. It's completely new. So, yeah, that's great. And a lot of people took this jump around COVID, it seems like too. So,
Yep.
sounds like you looked into maybe a couple different franchises. What ultimately made you decide to go with Garage Force?
It really was the flexibility and the ability to scale it and start it at my own pace. So some of the other franchises I'd talked to, and they said, once you get 20, 30 people working for you, then you really start making some money. And for my first, foray into entrepreneurship, I said, oh, I'd rather start easy and something that gives me a little bit more flexibility in how I want to grow. And so with Garage Force, I just needed one other guy and myself, and we could work it on the weekend. So I was lucky enough to find my lead installer, who's been with me for 4 years now. And we just started out doing it on the weekends. And as it grew, we started, doing it more and more. So it gave us, it was just flexible with our schedules until the business took off.
Awesome. Yeah, can you tell me a little bit about that ramp up? Like, so you started doing it on the weekends. Was that roughly like, for 3 months, 6 months? When did you kind of jump into full time? And then even beyond that, like when was it that you stepped back off the floors and then, made the jump to move?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I bought the franchise in July and we did our training in August of 2022. And then so for that whole fall, we were just doing garages on the weekends,
Mhm.
practicing on my garage, doing our trailer.
Or
And
yeah.
it was lucky because we just started when the home show, the fall home shows were starting. So we were able to get a lot of marketing straight out of that, a lot of jobs that carried us through that the rest of the year. So for
Nice.
all of that fall and winter, we were just doing it on the weekends, generally Saturday and Sunday. And just I was glad about how that was progressing and how I was able to quickly get leads and customers. And then in the winter and spring, we started doing at least two installs during the week. So we were doing Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesday, and then Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then it got to a point where we were both working full-time jobs, and we said, well,
Mhm.
let's just go all in. So I think it was around um, April. Which would put me about 7 months in.
Okay.
Um, we were running full time just during then we stopped doing weekend work unless it was the client could only do it on the weekends or something like
Yeah.
that. But we tried
Yeah.
to avoid people working on the weekends getting burnt out. So we were doing at least 4 days a week, about 7 months in, with just a crew of two of us.
Okay, nice. And is that same guy still with you today?
He is. He's my operations lead. He's my boots on the ground in the United
Nice.
States. And so yeah, it's been great to be able to find someone and work with them and be able to fully trust them to run your business for you.
Okay, very cool. How did you find him? I'm curious.
He was a friend of a friend who was doing a bathroom remodel on a residential property that my wife and I own
Okay.
in Richmond. So he he was. in commercial construction, really great with his hands. He's one of those jack of all trades kind of guys that has always just been underappreciated in whatever job he'd been in. And so, I saw the quality of work and that he wasn't cutting corners. And when I was going through my franchise discovery process, I approached him and said, "Hey, look, I'm thinking about doing this, but what do you think about kind of getting in on the ground floor with me and doing it with me?" And so, I pitched him the same thing that we just talked about, that we could work it flexible at the beginning, like on the weekends. You keep your job. It's going to be a low. I'm not asking you to quit your job and go all in with me. And so we kind of had to prove ourselves to each other, and as we built it out. He always says to me, he's garage force for life. Like he's ride or die with me, and he's been
Yeah.
great.
Very cool. It's great to find someone that loyal, and that's really good advice too. We always talk to people about if someone impresses you with their customer service, or yeah, contractor comes over to your house and it's great work and their attitude was good, they were great communicators, like that is someone you want on your staff. So yeah, that's awesome to hear. Can you tell me now about what does your crew look like now? It's obviously him. Do you have one or two other employees? Share. Well,
Yeah, so I have two territories in Richmond, and we have one trailer and crew. And so Vashon, my team lead, uh, like I said, he'd been with me for 4 years. After about a year working together, he approached me and said, "Hey, one of my kids, is looking to do something different, right? He needs a job."
mhm.
And so we brought him on. And then, a couple months later, he said, I have a daughter and she really wants to get into construction and the trades. So we brought her on. And then his other son, one of his youngest son had just graduated high school and wanted to do something for a year before he looked at college. So my team is a full family. So I have the dad and three of his kids. And so, kind of the way that we were working at the beginning was we would kind of work everyone in rotation, and trying to just balance out the workload. And then, as into our model today, where I'm now no longer there and doing installations, um, I just kind of gradually passed some of my responsibilities over to Vashon, and he would start instituting them. So back in start talking about a little bit more about timeline, about 2 years into running the business was when we had that full crew,
Mhm.
and I pulled myself off doing a lot of the operational stuff. So I kind of turned it over to Vashon. He became the quality control guy, the client interface. So I would kind of go out and drop the trailer off in the morning, meet with the crew, give them like do the walkthrough of the pitch, talk to the customer real quick, and then I'd go out, do estimates, do whatever I need to do, come back at the end of the day, meet with the customer, do the walkthrough, get the check, and then get the truck and trailer out of there. So as we kind of progressed through our development, I started handing more and more stuff over to Vashon. I gave him the truck and trailer, let him get there. I would just do estimates during the day. And so I was really getting more and more hands off until about a year ago, when I approached him and said, "Hey, look, I've got this opportunity to live abroad for a couple of years. I like to do that. Here's the list of what I'm doing today that I can no longer do, right? I can't go out and do an estimate for a potential client in Richmond, but he can." So he kind of took over doing that. So he obviously put more responsibility on the crew and the install team. So now they do a lot more on their own independent work during the day
Yeah.
while he's out doing estimates, and then he sends me all the information. I still do the client interface and write up all the estimates and chat with the clients and seal the deal.
Okay, great. So I guess that kind of answers what I was going to ask, but is that really what your day looks like now? Obviously, there's a huge, time difference. So if you can walk me through that, like what does that look like? You just, kind of check it in with them on the morning, you follow up with clients via email, or how does that work?
Yeah, yeah. So every day, so we're 5 hours ahead in Lisbon.
Okay.
So and yeah, with my team on the East Coast, it actually is perfect for that time gap, because around 1 o'clock in the afternoon here is 8 o'clock back on the East Coast. So I touch base with Vashon every morning, normally via chat or
Yeah.
text, and I shoot him a text in the morning, and then when he gets up and responds to it, then we kind of start our dialogue. Communication's got to be huge, right? With this kind of model. So um, I make sure that he understands the scope of the work. He's already been out to see the garage, so he knows already what to expect. There's no curveballs about showing up to a job that you've never seen, um, which is nice. So he's got everything. He knows what materials are going to be needed. He's got everything at his hands. And so I just let him know if there's been any changes or communications from the client.
Okay.
Um, and then I kind of go dark for a little bit until I am still the main client interface, so I still answer all the calls that come into the business over here, and respond to clients on email and text. So I just keep an eye on Dash, keep an eye on my business phone and email, and I can do that, from wherever, which is why this works. And then so I just take calls until about 10 o'clock at night, which is 5 o'clock Eastern, and just handle any leads as they come in, and then put them on the schedule for Vashon. Make sure I'm texting with him, keeping him up to date, so he knows that something new has been put on his calendar.
Mhm.
But then generally that's what we go over in the morning, before he goes to work. I'll say, hey, look, there's 3 estimates today. The expectation is you get the crew set up, get them running, go out and do those three, and then send me the information, the measurements, pictures, everything I need to know. I'll write it up, get it out to the client, and then, go from there.
Yeah, that's great. It's great that Vashan and the rest of your crew, gave you that confidence. You fully, trusted them enough to move away. And have you seen any like decline in business since, or has it remained, operating pretty smoothly?
No, it's been pretty smooth. I moved over here in at the end of August. And the crew's been working solid. We're averaging five days a week. Obviously January can be a little slower,
Right. Right.
especially with the ice we've gotten right now.
Yeah.
But that's the nature of the work. And so the crew knows when there's a job to be done, get it done, because you don't know when it's going to be torrential downpours, ice on the road, and when we can't work. So. But no, everything's been great. And kind of one of the things that I set up with the team when I left was, since they're going to be taking on um, more responsibilities, there were more financial incentives along with that. So, I said, look, just because the cat's away, the mice can't play, right? You still have to maintain our strict standards, and we got to get those 5-star reviews and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen any decrease in product quality. Clients are still raving about how friendly and professional the crew is. So they're doing a great job maintaining the standards that we've set.
That's awesome. Okay, two questions jumped out there. One, do you care sharing what kind of gross revenue you did last year? Like,
Yeah, yeah. Last year we
trailer.
invoiced a little over 700,000.
Awesome. Wow, congrats. That's great.
Yep.
And then my second question from there was you talked about like incentivizing them a little bit more and compensating them, obviously slightly better to motivate them. What does that look like? Like, is it, bonuses if they get a 5-star review? Do you give them like a percentage of every job? Probably mostly Vashon sells. How do you do that?
Yeah, it's basically, yeah, if I get a good thumbs up from the client, not necessarily a 5-star review, because not every client always has the time or knowledge or know how to do that. But I give the entire crew a 4% bonus for jobs. So whatever the $2,400 for a 2-car garage, they get 4% of that at the end of the day,
Okay.
as like a guaranteed bonus. And so that's mostly to incentivize Vishon to sell the bigger jobs, and get
Yeah.
out there and close those. And for the bigger jobs that obviously require a lot more labor and manpower on the prep work, which is physical and hard on the body. Like, I want to make sure that they know that they're going to be compensated for that. And
Yeah.
so it does help with that.
Great. I know you mentioned Dash earlier, which is for those of you that aren't sure, it's Garage Force's proprietary software system. So it handles all of like the product ordering, estimating, invoicing, those kind of things. How have you found, Justin, that Garage Force has really supported you to be able to run your business semi-absentee? Like, obviously through that software you just mentioned, do you use like a CRM that we provided? Do you have, you know, does your crew reach out to the Garage Force team at all? Just how have we as a franchise supported your operations?
Yeah, I mean, all the technology that's been provided has been amazing. I was around pre Lead Center, which is the CRM uh, kind of interface that Garage Force uses, and since that's come on board, it has made everything so much easier. It changed my day so much in terms of keeping up with clients. Um, letting them know what's coming up once they're on the calendar. It just automates everything. So it sends them the automated text. It follows up on estimates, does everything that I used to have to set reminders in Google for, and then
Yeah.
send emails out to clients the day before and be like, hey, make sure you don't block anything in your garage and it's clear out. We're coming tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. It takes care of everything. It makes it so easy. I don't have to worry about following up with everybody because it's automatically going to do that. So Lead Center coming on board was amazing. Ordering and doing everything in Dash is so easy as well. It's really easy to create orders and find technical resources. My team uses it all the time, out in the trailer, out in the field,
Mhm.
to look stuff up when they need to. And then, just the availability of staff has been amazing. I have Aaron on speed dial. He's like the product guru. So, whenever I'm doing an estimate, I'm like, what is this, slate? Or, like, can we do this? Aaron, what do you think? And Aaron is always like, here's what I would do. And, just having that um, expertise kind of in the corner, really is what Garage Force brings to bear is you're not just a single guy out there. You've got the weight of, decades of installer know-how and kind of workarounds and best practices that can be implemented and leveraged. So it makes it really great and easy to get the answers and get them quickly.
Great. Um, how do you find your customers?
That's a great question. It's mostly well, Google's the big thing. Obviously, Google reviews, getting those social ads out. A lot of it comes in from Google, but and like everyone told me when I was going through the whole discovery franchise process was um, the marketing is going to be different for every territory and every person. I found that mailers don't work. Um, Facebook is all right, but our big draws are home shows, car shows, boat shows, anywhere where I can get in front of people.
Oh,
And as my team, I've got someone that is really good at doing those kind of um, sales conventions, networking, and so that really helps. But getting in front of people, showing them what the product is and what the applications for it is huge. Um, so it's really just getting out there and like pressing the flesh, like just showing people. And then once you get into a neighborhood, it's those word of mouth referrals. So I would say probably about 30% of the calls that I get a week now are, hey, so and so told me that I had to call you because I want
oh,
you to get this
nice.
done,
Okay.
which is always great to hear. That means you're doing it right and people like understand the value of the product.
Do you do any referral like bonuses to customers if they get you a new customer?
Yep. Yep. So I normally I have like a $50 referral fee.
Nice.
And so yeah, it helps, right? Because essentially you're empowering an entire population to be salesmen for you and to incentivize them to push your product too.
Nice. Okay. So yeah, your leads mostly come from, it sounds like, Google, those live events, getting in the community, and then referrals, which is great. I always like to ask people this because you're right, it does really differ, location to location. Some are like, nope, it's all Facebook or whatever, and you said, it's more Google than Facebook. So very interesting. Um, so kind of getting back to the whole, you running your business semi-absentee now from abroad. I have a lot more people that are looking to get into this semi-absentee, and that always looks a little bit differently, right? Most of them still starting out, at least, obviously live in their territory, and some of them just it means they don't necessarily like start hands-on. Obviously, they learn how to do it. They're on the first several job sites, but they've kind of got their lead that they hire right away, and they may focus more on sales. And then, maybe 6 months, a year in, they even hire a salesperson to do that too. What kind of advice would you give someone that is looking to run it more semi-absentee?
Yeah, if you're going to be semi-absentee, you have to have great communication,
Hmm.
trust in your processes,
Yep.
and really trust in whoever's going to be there, being the operations people or the boots on the ground. Like, if I didn't trust my team to get out there and do it the exact way that I do it, the way that we were trained to do it, I would have just had to sell it. Like if we were going to
Right.
win,
Right.
like that was the whole, you know, the goal of of buying a franchise was the repeatable process and just do it by the book. Now there's always like a little one off here and there that you have to figure out, but 99% of the battle's already drawn out for you when you go in.
Right.
But yeah, it's just understanding if you're looking to do this, you have to have great communication. You got to be able to figure out what you need, ask the right questions, and that's on both sides, right? It can't just be the owner; it's got to be the other person because if they don't tell you what you need and or what they need,
Right.
then you show up to a job and you don't have any base code. So you just you have to really build those processes out, that trust, that collaboration, communication, from the get-go. And once you feel like you're at a spot that you can let it go and actually and move away, like you always want to try it when you're still there. So like, before we moved for like 2 months,
Yeah.
we tried to say, all right, I'm not going to be out on the field. I'm not doing this like you're doing this. Let's make sure it
Right.
works.
Right.
But we put it to the test. We follow our own processes and here we are.
Yeah. So it kind of all comes down to leadership, it sounds like, right? Building a
Right.
team from the start. So cool. I guess I think I only have one, maybe two more questions for you, but how has Garage Force changed your lifestyle?
Um, well, I definitely have a lot of garage for gear that I wear, so it's really changed my work.
Yeah, you have
Um,
a little more swagger now than you used to.
how I mean, it's made everything it more flexible for me. And being able to set my own hours, going out and doing what I want to do, right? So, if I didn't want to be the operations guy, shop blasting floors, I didn't need to. Like, you got to just find people to take that role from you. So, it's taught me a lot about business ownership and how to run a business. So, you know, it's just been a great experience so far in terms of teaching me about everything in business and how to do marketing and how to talk to clients and increase my salesmanship and it's kind of brought me out of my shell. I was always a more introverted person, but you put me at a car show, I'm talking to everybody there. I'm
Yeah,
out
right.
shaking hands. You got to. I mean, you got to. It's one of those things like you either learn to swim or you're gonna sink to the bottom. So it's been a great kind of transformation for me. And my kids all want to be garage force
Oh, I
employees.
love it. How old are
Going
your kids?
12, 10, and 5. So three
That's
boys, and so I've got a whole crew ready.
Oh yeah,
Just
there
gotta
you
give
go.
them a little bit of time.
So, well, it sounds like you're gonna have a second crew one day, but in all seriousness, what do your future plans look like for Garage Force? What does the next 12 months look like?
Yeah, so we're looking into possible expansion. Buying it, bringing on another territory and another group. I've got buddies who have said that they're interested in kind of going in and working for me too. So, I thought that this would be a great next step. Would be just to expand and just have more resources in the Richmond area and surrounding area. Um, and yeah, just seeing what other businesses and product offerings we can tack on to keep growing.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, maybe we'll have to do another of these podcasts a year from now, and you can, give us all the updates. But
That's right.
yeah, thank you so much, Justin, for your time today, this afternoon for you, morning for me. But really appreciate, all that you shared. You gave some great advice. So I look forward to, sharing this recording with some people that are looking at potentially joining Garage Forces team and maybe, eventually want to get to that semi-absentee model, similar to how you run things. So thank you again.
Yeah, no problem.